Hello. Thanks for coming in these difficult times. It means a lot, especially to Dad. And hello to those on the webcast, especially Simon, who I know is so sad not to be here today. We miss you. But also to other family members, Teresa and Sandra, friends from the chapel and Admiral's Reach. Okay, here we go. I am forest and a night of dark trees, but he who is not afraid of my darkness will find banks full of roses under my cypresses. No matter how old you are, it is a very difficult concept to get your head round that someone can be here and then not be here. And this is the first time I've been in a world when my mum hasn't been alive. And although she was so ill for such a long time that I know I can cope without her, I still feel the loss of her is so painful and so final. Sadly, life in the last 10 years has been tainted by Mum becoming progressively unwell and more unlike herself. Consequently, her dying gives the opportunity to balance out the recent past and remember her in her glory, and she was glorious. Mum, our Aud, was poetic and funny, fierce and confident, anxious and unsure. She was emotional and felt strong love and anger for herself and on behalf of others. She was political and a socialist. She was a Christian. She believed in justice and fairness. She came from Glossop up north. We used to tease her accent and sayings, did he eckers like, and like Piffy on a rock bun. She loved her husband, her children and grandchildren, Ryan, Sky and Freya. She loved to cook. She was the queen of pavlovas and quiche, picnics on the beach, millionaire's shortbread, treacle toffee, blackberry and apple jam, soups, the best Sunday lunches I have ever and will ever eat. We spent many happy hours in the woods or at Frinton. Mum loved to walk. She loved the sun. She loved to sit in the sun. She loved to garden. She loved to holiday. She loved to people watch, comment and laugh. She loved to read. She wrote poetry. She liked to sing and always listened to the radio, Radio 2 and Radio 4, Women's Hour and the Archers, later BBC Essex. She was hard-working, a homemaker and very house-proud. She couldn't sit still. She liked her house just so, with things in place and neat and clean and tidy and ironed. Have you finished that drink yet? She'd say. She was an accomplished knitter and dressmaker, even made our clothes when we were younger. Over the years, she variously worked as a seamstress, a cleaner, a fruit picker, and for 20 years a school cook. She was a volunteer for the church and an elder. She loved to play games, cards, and she loved to puzzle, jigsaws and crosswords. She loved a G&T and a glass of wine and to have a laugh. As children, when we came home from school, there were always 3 toffees waiting for us on the kitchen side. And as she always knew what we'd been up to on the walk home, we assumed she must have spies. In earlier times, she would walk up to school to collect us, even managing after she'd fallen off her bike and broken a bone in her foot. She still made sure we were okay before getting her foot examined and treated. We always ate our family meals at the kitchen table, apart from special events and Saturdays when we'd eat dinner watching TV from the table in the lounge. To this day, Doctor Who, in my mind, is synonymous with Mum's mushroom soup. Her approach to life was made legendary when Dad came home from work one day to hear the news that the washing machine was broken. A tense conversation followed, as replacing washing machines was not cheap. On investigation, it turned out the machine had broken because Mum had decided the bathroom carpet needed cleaning in a way that was beyond what the vacuum cleaner could do. So she'd got the entire carpet up and rammed the whole thing in the washing machine. Simon recalls the carpet might have been cleaner, but like the machine itself, it sustained several areas of damage, which he recalled he and Mum had attempted to repair when it was relaid. Dad heard all this, looked annoyed. Why couldn't she have waited? And then puzzled. But how is the carpet dry and back in the bathroom? Mum replied as if it were obvious. I dried it in the tumble dryer, of course. This broke the tension and made us all laugh, and that's Mum in a nutshell. The very first signs of her becoming unwell happened around 10 years ago. I recall when we had Skye, Mum wanted to knit her a bunny, but it just wouldn't go right and ended up being 2 knitted balls stitched roughly together, which looked a bit duck-like, and so we called it Bunny Duck. But this was so unlike her, and slowly over time and very gradually she lost the ability to plan and coordinate for her cooking and her hobbies. And as this happened, she became increasingly anxious. Then she had hallucinations and all sorts of odd experiences and didn't recognise us all the time. And her fears and fight grew over time until it was no longer safe for her to be at home, and she was admitted to hospital for 9 months before moving to Jellicoe House at Admiral's Reach Nursing Home, where she spent the last 4 years and 3 months, with Dad visiting daily and devotedly. Dad, you're amazing. And now we have to carry on without her. And she would want us all to miss her terribly, and we will. And she would want us all to live and find joy and look after each other, and we will. I have saved an answer phone message from her to us all at a time when she was becoming unwell and she was frightened. And she said, "I love you all, be brave, and we will. Mum, our Lord, we love you." Thank you. Now, all her grandchildren, Ryan, Skye and Freya,